Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all for this session of our English language. In today's lecture, we will be dealing with our unit number 4. The chapter is 4.4. The name of the chapter is The Sign of 4. Yes, my dear students, before we begin with our chapter, or rather we can say that this is a novel. I hope you all are keeping well, staying at home. So, dear children, stay at home, stay safe, and yes, study. Follow all the guidelines given by the government for your precautions and prepare yourself for your board examinations. So, dear students, this, our chapter, The Sign of Four, is written by Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle. This is a very interesting novel, a novel which includes a mystery, a murder. You know, you all love to read novel or drama when some or the other event is presented or it leads to a very confusing, or we can say that in a very mysterious way, that what will happen next. What will happen next after the ending of this chapter? Yes, this incident is going to take place. So many mysteries there. Before going to the novel, before starting with our chapter, let's have a brief introduction about our author. Our author is Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle. He was born on 22nd of May 1859 and died on 7th July 1930. Was a British writer and medical doctor. He created the character Sherlock Holmes in 1887 when he published a study in Scarlet. He was originally a physician, and the study of Scarlet, his novel, the first of 4 novels, and he has written more than 50 short stories about Holmes and Sherlock Holmes' best friend, Dr. John Watson. The Sherlock Holmes stories are generally, are considered as detective stories. They are considered as milestones in the field of crime fiction. Doyle was a prolific writer. Other than Holmes' stories, his works include fantasy and science fiction, The Napoleonic Soldier, Brigadier Gernard, as well as he has written plays, romances, poetries, fictions. Now, one of the Doyle's short stories, J. Habnuck Gibson's Statement. It helped to popularize the mystery of Mary Celeste. Now, here when we are beginning with our the sign of 4, the sign of 4, okay. The sign of 4. Before beginning with this sign of 4, it's very important for you to know that this is a novel. Now, what is a novel? Novel. Okay, so we will see what is a novel. A novel is, see, I'll show you in a PPT that yes, this is a novel. What is a novel? Okay. So here you can you read it carefully. Okay. A novel is a relatively long narrative fiction. I'm reading also, and it is presented before your screen. Okay, students, so read what is a novel. A novel is a relatively long narrative fiction which describes intimate human experiences, normally in a prose form. The present English word novel is derived from the Italian word novella, which means new. Okay. And a novel narrates a story, embellishing it with more details of time, place, nature, people, their minds, their gestures, and activities. Now I'll repeat this line again, that a novel narrates a story, embellishing it with more details of time, place, nature, people, and their minds, their gestures, and activities. It creates the picture of the society of that time. Novel makes life easier to understand than in drama and poetry. In modern era, novel has adopted literary prose. So this is a very short information about novel. Now, this is our this was our information about novel. Okay. So dear students, as I always ask you, I always tells you that whenever we are reading any drama or novel, imagine yourself as one of the character of the novel. This will help you what? To enjoy the story. When you're thinking that yes, I am Sherlock Holmes, or yes, maybe I am Dr. Watson, or I am Mary Mostyn, the characters, of course, they are the characters of our story, then you're going to enjoy the novel. So, I'll tell you about the major characters. I hope that you all have your textbook before you. Now, because after giving you introduction about the major characters, we will be dealing in a very short manner about the outline of the novel, what actually the story is there in our novel, what is the theme of the story, that we will deal. So dear students, please have a brief introduction about the characters of our story. So here are the characters of our story. See, we have the main character, or the major character of our story is Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective one. Is followed by John Watson. He's a doctor, John Watson. He's a best friend of Sherlock Holmes. Then comes Mary Mostyn, the client of our story. Then comes Major Sholto. Now, Major Sholto is a friend of Mary's father. Then come Thaddeus Sholto, the son of Major Sholto. Then comes Tonga and Toby, the two other characters who are involved in the mystery of the hidden treasure. Okay. So, my dear students, now let's begin with our session. I'll tell you the outline of the novel. But before that, please turn on to page number 209. The title here is chapter number 2, the statement of the case. So the statement of the case is, the story begins that Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, they are sitting at their place, they are having some discussion with each other. And then comes Mary Mostyn. Now, I'm going to tell you about all the characters, and you have to listen it to very carefully, because some questions they will ask about the characteristics of the characters. So Miss Mostyn, when she entered the room, the description of Miss Mostyn is given over here. The first paragraph itself says that when she entered the room with a firm step and outward composure of manner, she entered the room very mannerfully. She was a young lady, a small dainty, Now, underline the word dainty. It means delicately small or pretty. She was a small and a pretty one. She has well gloved, she was well dressed. Simplicity can be seen in her behavior. Costume which she wear, costume was also very simple. Dress was a somber grayish beige. The color can be shown here. Untrimmed and unbraided. The untwisted one. Okay. A small turban also she wore, and a suspicion of white feather in her side. Something she carried in her side. Okay. Very simple texture of her dress is described, as well as she was very simple. Neither regularity of feature nor beauty of complexion, but her expression was sweet and amiable. The way she was interacting with Sherlock Holmes, our narrator is Dr. John Watson. He is describing how Mary entered, how she is looking, how is her behavior with Sherlock Holmes, because she is the client of Sherlock Holmes. Now, again, he says that her large blue eyes were singularly spiritual and sympathetic. See, he is observing Mary, he is describing her, and then when she had a talk with Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock asked her to please sit down. And she was trembling, her lip trembled and her quivered, and she showed every sign of intense inward agitation. She was trembling. She was a bit nervous. She was afraid. First of all, she is a lady. She went to a detective to ask for help. First question is whether the detective will take my case or not, whether he will help me or not. My case is very different. Maybe if he rejects, if he says no, I'm not going to investigate your case. If this happens, what will be the next step I'll take? All these questions may be going in the mind of Miss Mary Mostyn. She must be very confused. That's why she was trembling. She was a bit scared there. And now she's reminding Sherlock Holmes of something. When I'm doubtful, students, when I'm doubtful about something, whether my work will be done or not, I may give some or the other example that you remember that person, you help that person, and this time my situation is also very similar to it. So can you help me, please? Likewise. So she is reminding Sherlock Holmes of Mrs. Cecil Forrester. Now, Mary is working as a governess at their place. And she is reminding Sherlock Holmes by telling that, you once enabled my employer to unravel a little domestic complication. And she was much impressed by your kindness and skill. Here, she is not only asking him to help me, but indirectly she is also telling that you are a very skilled detective. So the main reason of mine coming to you is that I have already experienced your work. This is how Mary has encountered with Sherlock Holmes in our first passage. Sherlock started thinking, because he has solved so many of cases, he started thinking, and then he says, yes, I remember that. Okay. And he was rubbing his hand, and he remembered everything. He said that was a very regular case. Now Mary says, yes, that was a very regular case for you. But this case, which is Mary's case, she says this is a very different one. Now the case is very different. Why? Because she has come to Sherlock Holmes telling that my father, Major Mostyn, disappeared 10 years ago. Remember, student. Now she is coming to Sherlock Holmes. Anyone like you and me, if you're Sherlock or I am Sherlock, we must think that the 10 years, the case is 10 years back. Why you're coming now? What do you want from me? I'm the detective. If this is a missing case, you must go and complain to the cops. Then she continues that, okay, and then after I received a letter, I am giving in a very short expression. Then we will go in detail. Definitely, I am going to explain you in detail form also. Then she says that, after that, I read an advertisement in the newspaper asking for my address. So Mrs. Cecil said that you at least give the address. Let's see what happens. And after giving the address, she says that continue for 6 years. I'm receiving a very precious pearl on that same day. Which day? What date? All mystery. Everything is very mysterious. To enjoy this kind of mystery, it is very important, student, that you must focus on what is going on in our session. You may get disturbed by hearing some or the other sounds nearby you, but don't do like that. Focus on what is going on. Then only you are going to enjoy the drama. I have already told you about the characters. I asked you that imagine yourself as one of the character. If you are thinking that you are Sherlock Holmes, then I'm sure you are going to enjoy this. Now, my dear students, as a detective, Sherlock is going to ask about the day, the date, what was the reason behind Mary's missing father. So he asked her a detailed information about it. To which Mary replies, we will see in page number 209 only. She says that the facts are these, that my father is an officer, okay, in Indian regiment who sent me home when I was quite a child. The father and the daughter, they are not living together. The child was living in a boarding establishment and father was an officer. And he has given all the comfort, all the required things a child will need. Afterwards, Mary says that in the year 1878, my father, he was the senior captain of his regiment. He has got 12 months leave. So after getting 12 months leave, he is away from his child, he is away from his daughter. He decides that I will come and I'll meet my daughter. So he telegraphed Mary from London. He told her that, Mary, I have arrived safe, and asked Mary to come and meet him. He says that, Mary, I have arrived safely. You please come and meet me. Mary says that in the letter of her father, she can see kindness and love. She must be very happy, after receiving a letter from the father. She was away from her father. When she received the letter of her father, she must be dancing. That yes, now my father is calling to meet me. I'm going to meet my father after such a long period of time. So immediately she went to London. When she reached on the given address to the Hotel Langham, she inquired about her father to the manager, and she got the information that Captain Mostyn was staying there. Yes, of course, he was staying there, but he had gone out the night before. One night before, he has gone out somewhere, and till now he has not yet returned. So, what can Mary do except waiting? So, she waited for her father. After waiting for some time, when there was no trace of her father, the manager of the hotel advised her that it's better that we should give a police complaint to it. Okay. So she gave a police complaint. The inquiries led to no results. No one was about to find her father. Not a single news of her father she got. And she says that from that day to this, remember, from that day, which day? The day is not mentioned. He just said that 1878 he returned. In the year 1878, he returned to this. Now the day is mentioned, see, day is mentioned on 3rd of December 1878. From that day to this day, no one know where my father is. And she says that he came home with his heart full of hope to find some peace, some comfort, and instead she started crying. She came to meet her father. After reading the letter, she immediately knew that this letter is full of hope, of kindness, of love. And that also the same thing her father is also feeling. But, and she was unable to speak. She was sobbing. Of course, she must be missing her father. Immediately, Sherlock Holmes asks about the date. This is the another quality. The first is he was a detective. He is very much enthusiastic. He is a person who thinks in his mind palace that these are the incidents, these are the events which took place, and what has happened next or what will happen next. And by joining all the points, he has done or he has solved so many mysterious cases. So he asked about the date. Mary told him the date that he disappeared upon the 3rd of December 1878, nearly 10 years ago. Then he asked about his luggage. What happened to his luggage? She said that nothing, some clothes only, some books, and a considerable number of curiosities from the Andaman Island. Nothing much more luggage he was having with him. Then about his friends. Sherlock asks about his friends. She says that here in London, he is having only one friend, and that is Major John Sholto. But Mary says that even I have inquired him also. I have asked, have you seen my father? But again, no use. He is of his own regiment, and the major had retired some little time before and lived at Upper Norwood. She has indirectly told the address of the major also. We communicated with him. We means Mary, the cops, the people who are looking for Major Captain Mostyn. But he did not even know that his brother officer was in England. But Major Sholto says that I don't know that he is in England. Okay. So Holmes remarked that it's a very singular case. Now, what happens next? What other information Holmes takes out from Mary Mostyn? Still, the purpose of Mary coming to meet Sherlock Holmes, we have not seen that. That we will see in our next session. So, dear students, read the text carefully, try to understand it, and of course, during this time, please stay home, stay safe, enjoy the drama by reading, and take care of yourself and the health of your near and dear ones. Thank you.